Hello students. So students, in the previous class we have started with the chapter that is microorganism and which is the second chapter. And in the microorganism we were talking about that what do we understand by the microorganism. Basically, microorganism is what? It is the organism which is very minute. By the name itself it is explaining that it is micro. It means it is related to the smaller organism, and these are this much small that we cannot see even with the help of our microscope, and that is why the name is given, that is microorganisms. Now microorganisms also they used to present everywhere. Everywhere it means even if the condition is very extreme or the condition is not good for any of the organism to live, there also you will find the microorganism exist. Like if we see that volcanic eruption is there or marshy places are there where the possibility of the living organism to exist is quite difficult, there the microorganism we can find it. Now microorganism, there is a study of the microorganism occur, and that we called as the microbiology. So the study of the microorganism is called microbiology, and those scientists who study, who research about that of microorganism, they are called as microbiologists. Now we are saying that these microorganisms we cannot see it with the help of our naked eyes. So how we are able to see this microorganism? So we are able to see with the help of a device that is called as microscope. If we discuss about that of the division in case of the microorganism, we will find that it is basically classified into 5 types, and that is bacteria, fungi, then protozoa, then algae is there, and finally viruses are also there. These are what? These are the 5 types or the division of the microorganisms. Now, first of all, we have discussed with that of the bacteria. What is bacteria? Bacteria is what? It is a kind of a microorganism which is a unicellular organism. Unicellular, it means it is having only one cell. So, unicellular organism is there, that is bacteria. Second thing, that these bacteria, they used to exist in different shapes, and on the basis of a shape we have categorized them also into 4 types. That is, first one is the rod shape, which we also called as bacilli or bacillus. Okay, bacillus is the singular one, so bacilli. Then comma shape is there, which we called as vibrio. Then a spherical shape is also there, which we call as cocci. Okay, a single bacteria is called as coccus. Okay, as well as it is in the shape of a spiral, and that we call as a spirilla. So spirilla, vibrio, then one more is there, which is a rod shape, that is called bacillus, and cocci. These are the 4 types of the bacteria which we had divided on the basis of the their shape. Okay. Now the second we were talking about that of the fungi, which is the another kind or another division of that of the microorganism. What happened in case of a fungi, students? So the first thing that we have seen in case of fungi, that they used to lack chlorophyll. And if they do not have chlorophyll or they lack chlorophyll, it means they are not able to perform the process of photosynthesis. Okay, we are already new in class 7th also we have discussed about this. That is the fungi are there which used to show the saprophytic mode of nutrition. They are not able to prepare their own food. So they depend on other for their food, and they used to take food from the dead and decaying organic matter. So we will say that they are what? They are saprotrophs. So the reason for being saprotrophs that because they lack chlorophyll. So the second thing we can say that these are also called as saprotrophs. Then the next is that now these fungi, we have seen that fungi are what which are useful as well as harmful. When we talk about that how fungi is harmful, so basically they used to cause a skin problem to the human beings. Even they can destroy the crops also. So the first thing that we can write here that fungi feed on living organism. Feed on living things. It feed on living things and causes disease. And causes disease and causes disease like athlete foot. Okay, that is called as athlete's foot. Okay, so they are saprotrophs. They feed on the living things and due to which they cause a disease that is called as athlete's feet. Now, next one is that is they can be unicellular or can be multicellular. Okay, they can be unicellular or they can be multicellular. Okay, now let us see that who are the unicellular and who are the multicellular. So if we talk about the yeast students, so yeast is what? It is a kind of a fungi, it is a fungi only which is unicellular. And if we talk about the mushroom or molds, they are what? They are multicellular. So we can say that fungi can be those which is having only one cell and can have more than one cell. So they can exist in the form of a unicellular organism or in the multicellular organism. Moving on, and we will see that where will you find this fungi? Now these fungi, they used to grow in a dark swamp area. Swamp means what? Which consisting of a moisture, which is which is little wet place. Okay, so it basically present in the or it basically grow in dark, warm and moist place. So we can write it. So, we can write it here that is grow in dark, warm or moist place. Okay, so it used to grow in dark, warm and moist place. Now there are some of the fungi. They are normally when we talk about the microorganism, we used to say that these microorganisms are this much small that we are not able to see with the help of our naked eyes. But in case of a fungi, there are some fungi which is quite big and we can observe it, we can see it with the help of our naked eyes. So we can write it here that is some fungi are large. Some fungi are large in size and it is large in size and can be seen with the naked eyes. And can be seen with the naked eyes. Okay, it can be seen with the help of our naked eyes. So let me write some of the examples of the fungi, students. So some of the common fungi are yeast. Yeast is what? It is a unicellular organism. So we can write here yeast, which is what? Which is unicellular. Then bread mold is there. Bread mold is there. This bread mold is also what? It is also a multicellular organism. Okay, this is a multicellular organism. And the next one is mushroom. Mushroom is also a multicellular organism. So we can say here that these are what? These are some of the examples of the fungi. So what are the things which we have seen here, student? The first thing, fungi comes under the microorganism. It can be unicellular, it can be multicellular. Fungi, they are non-green plants because they do not consisting of a chlorophyll. So ultimately, they are not able to perform the process of photosynthesis. And if they are not able to perform the process of photosynthesis, so they need food from the others. So they obtain food from the others, especially from the dead and decaying matter, and that is why they used to show this saprophytic mode of nutrition, and because of this only we used to call fungi saprotrophs or saprophytes. Now in what kind of a place we will find that they used to grow? So basically they used to grow in dark, in warm or moist place. Now if you talk about the fungi, their size, so size varies. Okay, there are fungi which is large in size, there are fungi which is smaller in size. Some of the fungi are this much large that we can see them even with the help of our naked eyes. Examples that you can see, and you can find it here, that we have categorized also them into the unicellular and multicellular organisms. Okay, so this is all about that of the fungi. Moving on, and we will see the other kind of microorganism that we call as protozoa. Protozoa, students. Next is the protozoa. So protozoa is what? It is a single-celled animal. So the first point that we will write about that of the protozoa, that it is what? It is a single-celled animal. It is a single-celled animals. And these protozoa, they used to move from one place to another in search of food. So, they move from place to place. They move from place to place in search of food. Okay, single cell animal is there, move from place to place in the search of food, as well as you will find that where basically they are found. So they are found everywhere. It means they are found in the animal's body as well as in the soil. So we can say that they are found even in the water also. So they are found in water as well as in the soil. They are found in water as well as in the soil. Now I told you that there are some of the protozoa which also lives inside the body of the animals. It means there are protozoa which we call them as a parasite. Okay, and that is why they are living in the animal's body and harming, because it is a parasite, so it will going to harm the animal's body in which it is living. Okay, so some protozoa are parasites. Some protozoa are there which are parasites living inside the body of other organism. Living inside the body of other organism, and that is why we can call them as a parasites. Okay, now basically we have heard about some of the diseases like dysentery is there or malaria is there. So malaria is caused by a protozoa that is called Plasmodium. So Plasmodium get transferred from the infected person to a healthy person with the help of a mosquito, that is the female mosquito which we call as Anopheles. So female Anopheles mosquito is there which used to carry this protozoa, which used to carry the Plasmodium, which is the protozoa, from the infected one to the healthy person. So when the protozoa enter into the body of a healthy person, that Plasmodium protozoa, that will cause a disease that is called malaria. Same thing happens in case of a dysentery, where the protozoa enter into the body and causes disease to the person. Okay, so we have seen here it is a unicellular or single cell animal, move from place to place basically in search of the food, and because of that they can live in water as well as in the soil, and even they can live inside the body of a living organisms. So, malaria and dysentery, these are the diseases caused by protozoa. Then if we see some of the examples of the protozoa, some of the example of the protozoa, then it will be amoeba. Amoeba is there. Then Euglena, Paramecium, Euglena, Paramecium is there. These are what? These are some of the example of that of the protozoa. So this is all about that of the protozoa, students. We have seen that protozoa can be parasite, and if it is a parasite, so it will affect the other living organisms also. Let us see the another kind of a microorganism, and that is called as algae. So about the algae, we have discussed about the algae even in the previous class also. Let me tell you about the algae, and that is so when in the previous class when we were talking about the nutrition in animal, there we had discussed about the algae. Algae is what? It is a slimy green patches that we found on the water bodies or at the moist places, and if it is green in color, the green in color is because of the green pigment which is present in it, and that is chlorophyll. And if the algae consisting of the chlorophyll, if it consisting of that green pigment, so ultimately that will help in completing or in doing the process of photosynthesis. So we can say that algae are able to prepare their own food. So the first thing here, that these are the simple plants. These are the simple plants which are having chlorophyll and can make their food by the process of photosynthesis. By the process of photosynthesis. Okay. Now, what about the algae? We have learned that algae basically live in the water, but it is not only that the algae used to live in a water, but it can grow in some other places also. So we can say that mostly algae lives in water, but some are also found in snow, hot spring, and even in the bark of the tree. Even on the bark of the tree. Okay, so we can say here that algae they are found not only in the water bodies, but they can be found in all these places. If we discuss what are the different examples, so Chlamydomonas is there, Spirogyra is there. These are few examples of the algae, students. So some of the examples of the algae are Chlamydomonas and Spirogyra. Chlamydomonas and Spirogyra are some of the examples of the algae. All the students, okay, these are the algae, but there are some of the algae like that of seaweeds are there, or kelp. They are quite large and they are found deep inside to that of the ocean or sea, on the sea. Kelp is very large and they are edible also. In some of the part of the country, people they used to eat kelp and seaweeds. So there are algae such as seaweed and kelp found inside sea and ocean. They are found in seas and ocean and are large in size, and they are basically large in size. They are basically large in size. Now, if we talk about the kelp, so it can grow up to 200-meter high. Length of 200-meter high in the seeds, and this is because they can be seen easily, they are large in size, as well as they are edible also in some of the part of the world. So it is used as food in some part of the world. So we can say here that not only the Chlamydomonas and Spirogyra, there are some of the algae is there which is like that of the seaweed or kelp is there which is present inside to that of the sea and ocean, and they are basically edible, they are also eaten as a food. So this is all about that of the algae. Moving on, and we will see the another kind of a microorganism which is called as the viruses. The last one, the last type of a microorganism that is called as a viruses. Viruses are quite different from these all microorganisms, students. Viruses, they can never be a good for the living organism. They always harm the other. So, viruses. Viruses are what? These are the small microscopic organism. Smallest microscopic organisms. Smallest microscopic organisms, and to see this, okay, we said that they are the microorganisms, so we need microscope for them. But in case of a viruses, we do not need an ordinary microscope, but a high magnified or electronic microscope will be much better to see the viruses. So we can write it that these can be seen with the help of high powered electron microscope. High powered electron microscope is needed. Now, the viruses basically they exist in a two state. First one is the living state, second one is the non-living state. What is the living state and the non-living state? When we talk about the non-living state, here when the condition is not good, when the condition is very extreme, when the condition is unfavorable, especially for the growth of the viruses, at that time they used to protect themselves by forming a protective covering around it, and due to which they remain protected, and this state is also called as the inactive state in which the virus is not working at all. But what happened in case of the living state? So when the condition becomes favorable, at that time these viruses becomes active. Basically what happened, outside the conditions are not good for the viruses to grow, but when the virus enters into the body of any living organism, it will get the good environment, it will get this suitable condition, it will get the sufficient thing that is needed for it to become active and to work on. And on the basis of that, we have classified this state into the living and the non-living state. It means when the viruses are inactive, that state we call as the non-living state. And when the viruses are active, they start functioning. At that time, we will call the viruses are in the living state or the active state. So we can write it that is a virus can exist into two states. That is living and non-living.